Welcome back to our audio distribution series. Let's recap what we have learned throughout the course before moving on to Programming Integration Designer. We configured the sources, zones, groups, and EQ settings within the RTI DSP web interface. We also learned how to configure a 2.1 system. We added our main processor, rooms, and controllers to the workspace. We added the RTI DSP matrix driver, then learned how to import the settings from the device to the driver. Once the driver was updated, we add the individual zones to the corresponding rooms in the workspace. The next step is to program the activities to support the audio distribution DSP. Let's take a close look at the driver commands available and learn how to use them effectively in a project. I will demonstrate the available commands by exposing the device library in the Macro Steps editor. The driver offers several categories of commands for programming. Let's open the All Zone Commands category and view the included commands. All zone commands feature commands that apply to all the zones when sent. All zones set output volume sets the volume for all zones to a value specified in decibels in the driver argument. All zones adjust output volume will adjust the volume on all zones up or down. All zones output mute will mute all zones. To unmute all zones, select the All Zones Output Unmute command. All Zones Source Selection will set all zones to the source specified in the driver. All Zones Secondary Source Enable and Disable contains commands to enable, disable, and toggle a zone to its secondary source. This command should be used with care, as rooms such as bedrooms or private offices may not want to receive a secondary source transmission. Now let's take a look at the Zone Group Context Commands category. These commands are very important, especially when using zone groups. A context command sends a command to a zone. If that zone is in a group, it will send the command to the entire group. This can avoid issues with using groups and sending command to individual zones, particularly source selection. If a regular source selection is sent to a zone that is part of a group, it will be removed from the group. Context commands prevent this and treat the zone individually, or if the zone is in a group, they treat it as a group. Use context commands even when not using groups, as it avoids issues if groups are added later. Let's review the zone group context commands. Set output volume sets the zone out volume regardless of whether the zone is grouped or ungrouped. Adjust output volume adjusts the zone volume up and down regardless of whether the zone is grouped or ungrouped. These commands are auto-programming when setting a zone to a room audio source. Output mute mutes, unmutes, and toggles the mute status for a zone, regardless of whether the zone is grouped or ungrouped. The mute toggle is auto-programmed when setting a zone to a room audio source. Source selection will change the zone to a specified source, or if the zone is in a group, it will change the entire group to that source. It is recommended to use this command for signal routing. Again, using zone group context commands when applicable will make the programming more reliable when using groups. If you are using groups or anticipate using them at some point in the future, these commands should be used. Let's review the zone commands. These commands are non-discrete, meaning if a command is placed, the zone must be selected from the drop-down driver argument. Set output volume will set the zone to a defined volume level. Adjust group volume will raise and lower the zone's volume. Output mute will mute, unmute, and toggle the mute status for a zone. Source selection will select a source for the zone. For this command, using the zone group context commands is recommended. Select source from list is a command that can be attached to an item list to select an audio zone. EQ preset selection allows you to set a predefined EQ preset for any zone. Secondary source enable enables, disables, and toggles the secondary source feature. Zones will play the secondary source using the secondary mode that was configured in the DSP settings. Do not disturb enable can set a zone's D&D status. This command features an enable, disable, and toggle. When D&D is activated, the zone cannot be brought into a group. Test tones will play any of the 3 different tones provided in the driver. This is useful for checking speaker polarity before deploying audio sources. The next 2 commands, add or remove zone from group, will add or remove a zone from any group. Select group from list is used to select a group from an item list object. Toggle group member will toggle a zone in and out of a specific group. The zone commands are discrete and when placed will not require changing the zone in the driver argument. It is possible to turn a zone off, select a source, and issue other discrete commands. Let's skip down to the group commands. For each group imported from the DSP, a set of commands will be generated. Group enable, disable enables or disables a group. Please note that a zone can only be active in one enabled group at a time. The next 3 commands enable you to set a group to a specific volume level or adjust the group volume, raise or lower, or mute the group. Group source will set the group to a source selected in the driver command. The group list commands enable control over groups using item lists. We will not cover those commands. System commands are commands that control the RTI DSP device. These include powering on and off the device, rebooting the unit, resetting the network settings to DHCP, and resetting the users created in the DSP settings. Source commands include adjusting the trim level for any source, as well as designated the available source types to analog, optical, or coaxial. As you can see, many of the settings and features in the DSP web interface are included in the driver, providing powerful control capabilities. Thanks for watching.